Okay, I think we are live now. So good morning, everyone. I've got Facebook Live here and Instagram over here. Thank you all for being here. My name is Rachel Salina, and I am currently serving as the Chief Administrative Officer for ICE, and I also TA for our rehabilitation of the injured runner course, both live and online. And that's really why I'm here today, right? Today is Friday, which means it is Fitness Athlete Friday. And I wanted to spend this morning talking a little bit about rehabilitation of the non-injured runner, right? Like, what do we do for that person who's coming to us, who maybe is seeking out our services or like our input, but they're not currently dealing with an injury. Maybe they don't have any pain. Like, what do we do for them? What do we have to offer that patient population? I think we could just say, like, hey, you are doing great. Like, you're not hurt, you're not injured. Keep it up. Good work. And send them on their way. But I think that sells us short, right? I think we have a lot more to offer to that patient. And so that's kind of what I want to dig into today. So overall, I like to think of treating runners as kind of having like intervention in 3 different categories. And those would be programming, like we can intervene within their programming. We can intervene within the runner's ecosystem. And we can also intervene with gait mechanics and gait retraining. So we're going to kind of dive into each one of those. So the first one is programming. And what I mean by that is kind of everything that's like external load to the runner, right? So this includes their actual running, like what are they doing running wise? But then also what are they doing, strength training, anything extra like that. So if someone is coming to me and I'm going to start working with a new runner, not necessarily new to running, but just someone new to me, the first thing I want to look at is, have they been consistent in their training, right? So I love to see really like the past 2 months, if someone can provide that to me, of what this person has been doing. So once I have that, I can look and see, is this someone who's consistent? Are they, running about the same amount each week? Are they running 3 to 4 days a week consistently, or are they kind of hit or miss? Like, do they maybe run 4 days one week, and then they have a week where, they say they were busy, life got on the way, they were traveling, and so they have like a week to 2 weeks where they don't run at all, and then they come back and they have a race, so they have like a really high mileage, high intensity week, and then maybe they're back to 4. Are they up and down, or are they pretty consistent? So that's the first thing I'm going to look at. And then the second one, if we have that consistency kind of established, I want to look and see, how are they progressing their training, right? We have the 10% rule as kind of a general guideline. So if someone is running 10 miles one week, are they going to run 11 miles the next week? And that's pretty basic starting point, but it's a good starting point. And we know that people that have trained longer can get away with a little bit of a higher increase. But I think it's a good place to start and just check, has this person been progressing way over that, where they maybe, they were running just their 3 days a week, and then they wanted to start training for a marathon, and so they bumped up to 5 days a week, and they went from 15 miles to 30 miles. That would be kind of a red flag. So do they have consistency in training? And then how are they progressing that training? And then if those are both in place, the next thing I want to look at is, how is that mileage kind of distributed through the week? Right? Do they have, do they run some during the weekdays and then some on the weekend? Or is this someone that, they come in and they say, the week kind of gets away from me, it gets really busy, and then I just have to get as much as I can in on the weekend. So I want to see that that's more of an even spread throughout their training week. And I think distribution also applies to their, sorry, so there's an audio issue here. 1 second. All right, we'll see if that is working. I apologize. It looks like we're having a little bit of an audio issue on Facebook right now. Hopefully this is still good on Instagram. But for their training, that also, we're looking at distribution of their intensity, right? Do they have all of their intensity? Do they train all of their miles at a high percentage of like heart rate or like at their max capacity? Are they training all of this like at their marathon pace, or do they have some mileage that is lower, easy to do, easy running? And so then the final thing we're looking at for programming is their strength training, right? Do they have any strength training? That's the big one. And then if they do, are they getting, maybe 2 days a week of that strength training? And I think this is a good, it's a good place to intervene with education and helping to educate that person that they don't need a ton of strength training, but some is better. This is one area that we do know that we can reduce the risk of injuries by incorporating some strength training. All right. And I think it also is a good spot to maybe tell them that, like, stretching, I feel like a lot of people think stretching is what is going to prevent their injuries. And really we know that like 5 to 10 minutes a week of stretching for a muscle group is all we need. So it's a good place to just to chime in and make sure that someone has the right mindset about what we know prevents injuries. All right. After programming, the second thing I really want to look at is their ecosystem. What else is happening in this runner's life, right? Do they, if someone's reaching kind of a plateau, maybe their programming is on point, but they're just not seeing the progress that we want to see. I think looking at some of the lifestyle, the ecosystem is huge because maybe that's not lining up with what their goal is, right? And so for in this category, I'm really looking at, is this person sleeping enough, right? Are they getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep, just as a starting point? And then, so is their sleep appropriate for what their training is? And this is another area where we do have some research. We know that if someone has a new onset of injury, it's more likely that that person had a period of time 2 weeks ago where they did not sleep more than 7 hours. So imagine if someone's whole week is sleeping less than 7 hours. This person is setting themselves up for an increased risk of injury. Right, so are they sleeping 7 hours? And if that's on point, then looking a little bit in this category still at nutrition, right? What is this person's intake? Do they have enough intake to support what they're asking their body to do? And so I think it's helpful if someone has never tracked before, like never tracked their food intake, having someone do that for a week can be really eye-opening. So getting them just use one of the free trackers and just get an idea, how much are they taking in, right? I think that can be super helpful just for having this person develop some like awareness of what's going on in their body, right? And we would expect if someone is increasing their training, the amount of time, the amount of load they're putting on their body, it makes sense that they would have to also increase how much they are consuming. And I think just making that connection for people is big. And then finally, kind of under the ecosystem is looking at, if someone is going through a super stressful time in life, giving them kind of the okay that like, that's an okay time to dial back, right? Making the connection between how much stress impacts training, how much that load takes away from the other load that the body is able to tolerate. So kind of giving someone permission to decrease their training, to go for lower intensity, to focus more on recovery during that time. So overall for the ecosystem, like, can we build awareness of the body for this person? And then finally, the third category we look at is gait mechanics. And normally when we're looking at gait mechanics for a runner, we're looking at it in context of like, how can we change the mechanics for this runner to allow them to still be able to run while they're injured? So it's nice when this person is not injured, right? There's no like time frame. There's no stress. There's no urgency that this person has to make change right away. And we know like this person doesn't have to conform to some perfect, perfect gait if that exists. Like they don't have to change from a rear foot striker to a heel striker or a forefoot striker to decrease the risk of injury. But we do know that if we can decrease the overall loading, like the loading rate, we can reduce this person's risk of injury. So again, more education that change doesn't have to happen right away, but this is a really good time to like take a deep dive and just look at where can we build efficiency in this person's running gait. So overall, like I think there's a lot we can do for runners kind of in this category where they're not injured, right? We don't have that on board. And who better to be in that space than us, because we have the tools to address all of those factors, right? We can help them to build consistency and appropriate progression in their strength and running programming, right? We can also help them to create a better ecosystem by addressing their sleep and nutrition and recovery. We can build efficiency in their gait mechanics. And if that person does have an injury come up, like we are already in a relationship with them to be kind of right there and address it early, right? So then they don't even have to go any further into the medical system. We can hopefully keep them running longer. So really, for this patient population, right, for the non-injured runner, I think we can offer to help make them a stronger, more robust human that's better able to keep doing what they love to do and to start doing it even better, right? So if this is something that you're interested in, like if you would like to learn more about treating runners, injured or non-injured, our next cohort of the Rehabilitation of the Injured Runner live course, or not live, the online course starts January 11th. And that registration is open now online, so you can sign up at ptonice.com. So that is it. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend. Thanks.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.